Beyond 3D.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Beyond 3D. Matt and Clint here, coming to you live, so to speak, from Australia, Southern Hemisphere, loving every minute of it. Clint, how are you this week?
Good evening, Matthew.
You good this week then? Huh?
Oh, I'm great, thank you very much.
Excellent.
Been a great week.
Yeah. Slow in the news department.
I was just about to say that. It's been a very slow news week.
But something really good happened this week. And what was good that happened this week was a lot of people have been saying in the United States that if they have to go through another 3 months of an election cycle, they'd rather get the Zika virus. So I think they're very happy that the debates have finally ended.
The Zika virus, I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
When people start to say they'd rather have that than continue this election cycle in the United States, I think that's telling you something about what's going on.
Now, Thursday was the final debate.
Yep.
Do you know how over it I was?
Yes, I do. About
so over it, I didn't even bother tuning in.
Yeah, that's about the size of it. I tuned in at the end just to see what they were going to say, and quite frankly, I think most people didn't matter. They're over it, they're done with it, so that's a really good thing. But something happened after that that I think was more important and more interesting.
Tell us all, Matthew, because I didn't get to see it.
Well, what happened after that is in New York, the city that never sleeps, my old hometown, they had a dinner called the Al Smith Dinner. And that's usually a few weeks before the election, and it's for Catholic charity. So as a good Catholic boy, everybody knows about the Al Smith Dinner. And what they normally do during the Al Smith Dinner is the candidates that are running for president get together, and they have like a roast. They make jokes about themselves and do all those kinds of things. But guess what happened at this Al Smith's dinner?
Nothing about this election shocks me, so go for it.
People who have been to anywhere between 9-10 of these kind of dinners over the years, over the decades, have said this was the first time one of the people actually was booed.
Wow.
Guess which one?
Well, it wouldn't be her.
No.
It wouldn't be Lady Vader by any chance.
No, not at all. So they said it was very interesting because you're supposed to get up there, make fun of yourself, make light of everything that's going on, but they basically were getting in a lot of digs on each other still. So the acrimony still persisted even at a Catholic charities dinner.
Who'd want to go to a dinner where the guest speakers are Lady Vader and Jabba the Hutt?
Does looks like a walrus when you have the white tie on. It's really funny.
You know, I watched, I think Comedy Central roasted him a couple of years ago, and I just happened to watch it the other night. Mm-hmm. And at this roast, somebody said, "You should run for president." And that was 2 years ago. But the comedy roast, the way they roasted him, it was so bad, I actually hid behind my hand.
Wow.
With some of the jokes they were making. It was just so ridiculously inappropriate. And that was 2 years ago.
I don't think these were that bad, but what I can do, if you like, I could basically, CNN gave a brief synopsis of some of the jokes.
Okay.
I might not deliver them quite properly, but it'll give you an idea, and then you can judge who you believe did a better job under the circumstances.
Is there any F-bombs?
No.
No? I don't need to bleep anything out?
No bleeping or anything like that. I'll
Sounds
just
great.
read them, and we'll go men first, and we'll start with Donald Trump.
Can you just pace it? Because I need the joke to permeate and to seep into my...
I can try to do that.
All right, let's see if you can make me laugh.
So you can imagine this walrus standing at a microphone in front of all of Catholicism and all of the New York hoi polloi, so to speak. And so they're supposed to make fun of each other, blah, 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 blah. So he comes up in the first one. Well, a lot of jokes were said, but these are some of the top supposed lines of the night.
Here we go.
Yeah, right. So Donald Trump starts out with saying, "Some people start out with a self-deprecating joke." I'm reading him here. "Some people think this would be tough for me, but the truth is I'm a modest person. Some people tell me modesty is my best quality."
That was me laughing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. And he goes, okay, the second one.
No.
You know Cardinal Dolan, who is the Archbishop of New York. He and I have some things in common, such as we both run impressive properties on Fifth Avenue. Of course, his is much more impressive than mine. That's because I built mine with my own beautifully formed hands.
I'd really love to see Donald Trump on a building site.
Well, New York, okay. St. Patrick's Cathedral,
Yes.
51st and 50th
Yes.
Street on 5th Avenue to Madison Avenue. Huge residences behind. One on the 50th Street side is the Cardinals' residence. The other one is the rectory, where most of the priests that are serving at St. Patrick's Cathedral stay. Best liquor cabinet you could ever find in New York.
Have you seen it?
Yes. I
Okay.
used to work in St. Patty's Cathedral,
Okay.
that's what I can tell you. That's amazing. Okay, the third one. It's great to be here with 1,000 wonderful people, or as I call it, a small, intimate dinner with some friends, or as Hillary calls it, her largest crowd of the season.
These aren't funny.
Well, I know that, but number 4, get this. This is corny stuff.
Why are we hurting our listeners tonight with this?
Because I've gone through the pain, they should go through some of the pain as well. It's very simple.
It's terrible.
I'm going to keep going with them because
Yeah, go
I'm
on.
having fun. And even tonight, with all of the heated back and forth between my opponent and me at the debate last night, we have proven that we can actually be civil to each other. In fact, just before taking the dais, Hillary accidentally bumped into me, and she very simply replied, "Pardon me," and I very quietly replied to her, "Let me talk to you about that after I get into office."
That's what was said. Where did he have his hands at the time when he made that statement?
Who knows? I don't know what he was doing. His hands. What are you going to do? Okay, the other one here now. One of the things I noticed tonight, and that I've known Hillary for a long time, and that this is the first time ever that Hillary is sitting down and speaking to major corporate leaders and not getting paid for it. These are the things that people are supposed to be laughing at. Okay, I'm keeping it. Don't worry. The pain will end soon enough. Last night I called Hillary a nasty woman, which is one of the things he did call her during the debate. But this stuff is all relevant after listening to Hillary rattle along and on and on. I don't think so badly of Rosie O'Donnell anymore. In fact, I'm actually starting to like Rosie a lot. Have you heard anything that would even make you go, No?
I just, no.
All right. Okay, the president, as in Obama, told me to stop whining. But I really have to say the media is even more biased than ever before. You want proof? Michelle Obama gives a speech, and everyone loves it. It's fantastic. They think she's absolutely great. My wife, Melania, gives the exact same speech, and people get on her case. And I don't get it.
She stole it.
Exactly. I don't know why. This is supposed to be funny, and everybody's supposed to go, ha, 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 we get it, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, but so hang on a second. He cannot get up and make a joke about that in a public forum when the entire world was educated on how she stole the speech from Michelle Obama to begin with.
But the reason he's saying that joke is because everybody knows that it's supposed to be funny. They know she stole the speech out of Obama's speech.
All he is doing is putting a highlight mark on his own credibility and going, not credible. Remember that time I was not credible and my wife was not credible? Mm-hmm. Why would you put a spotlight on that?
Well, if you look at I'll give you the headline for the story
I'm giving him no energy tonight whatsoever.
You don't have to.
No.
Sit back and listen.
My feet are up.
Sit back and listen.
You
Relax
go for it.
for a minute. It's not that long to go. There's only a couple more to do.
I might order a pizza.
Order a pizza while you do it. Domino, give me a little pepperoni on mine. Thank you very much. I'd like to address an important religious matter. I'll start again. I'd like to address an important religious matter. The issue of going to confession, or as Hillary calls it, the 4th of July weekend with the FBI Director James Comey.
He wasn't privy to that conversation.
Come on, Clint. Get into the spirit of this.
No, go for it.
They're supposed to be having fun at a dinner with a lot of stuffed shirts, so we have to...
I'd be that heckler up the back calling out, "You're an idiot!"
Probably would. And you'd be right. And the last one, I'll put you out of your misery as far as Trump is concerned. I wasn't really sure if Hillary was going to be here tonight because I guess you didn't send her invitation by email. Or maybe you did, and she just found out about it through the wonder of WikiLeaks. We we've learned so much from WikiLeaks. For example, Hillary believes that it's vital to deceive people by having one public policy and a totally different policy in private. And then it says, and this is what happened, when the audience booed at that line, Trump replied, "That's okay, I don't know who they're angry at, Hillary, you or I. For example, here she is tonight in public pretending not to hate Catholics." Now I ask you, was any of that even close to being funny?
No.
Or was it more along the lines of the pathetic?
It was sad. That was sad. It was even sadder the way you delivered it.
Yeah, well, it's Trump.
It's lucky there's no sharp objects in the room.
Yeah, but Ben, I'll do some Hillary Clinton ones as well,
Yeah,
just
go
to
for it,
give
mate.
you
Yeah,
just to give you an idea. Now you're supposed to. So she started off a little bit differently, and these kind of things. So these are just a little bit of the highlights of what she would say. Hers was,
Go for it.
"This is such a special event that I took a break from my rigorous nap schedule to be here."
Okay, so she's making light of the fact that she's old.
And they always say she's always sleeping and taking naps between debates and things like that. "It's a treat for all of you too, because I charge a lot for speeches like this."
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah. Well, it says it in writing in WikiLeaks at least. "I've got to say, there are a lot of friendly faces in this room, people I've been privileged to know and work with. I just want to put you all in a basket of adorables."
I'm just waiting. You just give me the nod when I'm supposed to laugh.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
"And Donald, after listening to your speech, I will also enjoy listening to Mike Pence deny that you ever gave it."
Okay, that was a little bit funny.
A little bit funny, yeah. "People look at the Statue of Liberty and they see a proud symbol of our history as a nation of immigrants, a beacon of hope for people around the world. Donald looks at the Statue of Liberty and sees a 4, maybe a 5 if she loses the torch and tablet and changes her hair."
I think Donald looks at the Statue of Liberty and wants to grab it on the...
Yeah, exactly. "But I understand that I'm not known for my sense of humor. That's why it did take a village to write these jokes." Oh God, you are right. "People say I'm boring compared to Donald, but I'm not boring at all. In fact, I'm the life of every party I attend, and I've been to 3.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back this week to another edition of Beyond 3D.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, really?
I've got 3 more to go. It's not that bad. Yes, it is, but I want the people of Australia to get an idea of the absolute lunacy and that is the American election process.
And this is day and night, isn't it?
Incredible.
Day and night,
and day now, and night. Okay, let me ask you the question that was the statement that was made earlier. 3 more months of this or the Zika virus? Think about it.
Yeah, I can see where those people are coming from now.
This is where people are coming from. Okay. Now you notice there's no teleprompter tonight, which is probably smart because maybe you saw Donald dismantle his prompter the other day. And I get that. They're hard to keep up with, and I'm sure it's harder when you're translating from the original Russian.
Now that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
That worked.
Because he is secretly in bed with Russia. The Donald.
The Donald. Okay, only a couple more to go. I know, breathe.
No, I'm cool. I just said, I did say tonight I'm giving this no energy whatsoever this week.
We'll smudge the room when we're done.
Yeah. I'd burn it more than anything else.
Many people don't know this, but Rudy Giuliani actually got his start as a prosecutor going after wealthy New Yorkers who avoided paying taxes. But as the saying goes, if you can't beat them, go on Fox News and call him a genius.
I see, these are jokes that are location-centric. You actually need to be in America and absorbing all this craziness day and night to find the gold hidden in these comments.
Yeah, well, there is context that needs to be around, but what are you going to do?
Look, at the end of the day, it's a circus. Mm-hmm. It's a circus, and I already know what the outcome is.
All right, I've read the 9th one. We don't need to hear it.
Was it politically incorrect?
It's just ridiculous.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the 10th one. And whoever wins this election, the outcome will be historic. We'll either have the first female president or the first president who started a Twitter war with Cher. And if Donald does win, it'll be awkward at the annual President's Day photo when all the former presidents gather at the White House. And not just with Bill, how is Barack going to get past the Muslim ban?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll tell you. All right, enough of that. Frankly, I'm sorry that I had to do that to you, but I needed to share the pain.
No, it's okay. It's okay, because we've been pretty good every week covering the lunacy that has been the US political circus.
Yeah, well, about 16 days to go or so.
16 days to go, so 2 more shows after tonight. We'll come back with something substantial to talk about in regards to those 2 clowns.
Yeah, but until that point in time, I think we should just give it a miss, because it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And there are other things going on in the world besides that. And but the thing about that whole thing is, it is America right now. And believe me, if anybody's been there, if you're from Australia and you go to the United States, you know that they are, even to this day, extremely isolationist when it comes to news. They are extremely puritanical in their way of doing things, and nothing else in the world exists unless it's being blown up. And so...
Or stolen,
or unless it happens to a Kardashian. So if that's not happening, they basically don't really know what else is going on in the world. Like they don't know the fact that the Filipino president has just declared that he no longer has any ties with the United States, and he's now going to just deal with China.
Let's talk about that at the back of this break.
Beyond 3D.
Welcome back this week, everyone, to another episode of Beyond 3D. Now, Matt, earlier, just on the other side of that break, you were talking about the Filipino president.
This man, I can't even pronounce his name properly.
I'm not even going to try.
Duterte or something like that. But thank you. He, quite frankly, is a whack job, in my opinion.
No. I think the people that are getting his name tattooed on their body are the whack jobs.
Okay, fair enough.
Because you don't see me running down to the tattoo parlor and getting Kevin Rudd
or Turnbull or Tony Abbott or anybody else tattooed on you.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting. What he is doing is he's now positioning himself in that area of the world to be more neighborhood friendly, let's call it. He doesn't want to...
He died.
Who?
You talking about the Filipino president?
Yeah.
Yeah, he died.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
No, which one?
One of the presidents.
Marcos?
One of them died this week gone, and the whole nation went into mourning.
No, that was the King of Thailand.
Thank you.
And I believe it was his son, took over.
Okay.
And I think we mentioned the fact that his son named the poodle the head of the Air Force.
He took over the family business. Did you just say he named the poodle the head of the Air Force?
Yes, I did.
The family dog?
Yes. And I believe they're going to name a regent.
Come on.
Until they find out exactly what's going on with this person.
What is going on with the world?
Hey, look. This is what's going on with the world.
I read an article the other day. Now, check this out. Mm-hmm. 2 of the world's most destructive corporation conglomerates recently became one.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Which one?
Big AG tech giants, Monsanto, maker of Agent Orange, genetically modified seeds, weed-whacking chemicals, and Bayer, the other company.
Oh, the Nazi company.
Famed for making poison gas for Nazi concentration camps, heroin, baby aspirin, and systematic pesticides, are merging, Matthew.
Oh, lovely.
Much to the horror of food security advocates, consumers, and non-zombies worldwide, CNN Money declared that Monsanto-Bayer merger this year's biggest takeover, and symbolically, it's the merger of the century at $66 billion.
Wow. Well, Monsanto is well known for
Agent
basically,
Orange.
that, but they're also well known for trying to copyright seeds.
So,
amongst other things.
genetically modifying like wheat, tomato, any type of grain or fruit or vegetable, genetically modifying it and then putting a patent on it.
Exactly, and then as the wind blows, if it happens to blow onto your
You can't grow
land,
it. Yeah.
and they find that you have some of their seeds, they basically sue you and try to get your land.
Now, they were doing something like that a couple of years ago. I think they were setting up farms next door to regular mum and dad farmers, making sure that their genetically modified seeds did spread across into the other farm's property.
Colonization, blah, blah, blah.
Shutting that farm down or buying it off and buying it and making it theirs. So that eventually Monsanto Bayer are the number one food producers for the whole world with their genetically modified alleged garbage.
That's it.
I wouldn't eat it.
Couldn't get me to eat it either, unless I didn't know I was eating it. But yeah, they are. That's a nasty one. I believe there's another nasty one that's trying to go through. I cannot remember the name of the European company, but they're in the Netherlands. And the United States drug company is that family favorite known as Pfizer.
Okay.
And Pfizer is trying to do this. What they're trying to do is they're trying to do what the company James Hardie from Australia did all those years back. They have certain liabilities around asbestos use and everything like that in the 50s and the 60s. What they do is they try to move the company out of the jurisdiction where they can be sued, like Australia or the United States. And by merging with a European concern, what happens is they are allowed to move all of the assets to that European concern, bankrupt the asset that's in the home country, and tell the people, sorry, we're out of money.
What's that line out of Lethal Weapon 2? The Afrikaners. Diplomatic immunity.
Oh, yes. God help them. It was a movie, but there's some wacky people over there. But that's what's going on with Pfizer. So a lot of companies are trying to do this. Now, as all of this is going on, what is very interesting to me is something else that is going on that goes under the radar, let's say. And one of the things is what you sent me this week.
Ooh.
That little video.
Oh, hang on. Which one?
The military one.
Yep, I know the one you're talking about now.
With the UFO coming in from 210,000 feet.
Above. And crashing. Like a falling stone.
Literally. But the other thing that was interesting was what was trying to crawl out of it at the end.
Yes, that was quite...
What I'll do is, guys, I'll put this up on our Facebook page, and you can have a look at it.
I'll tell you what I like about it is the fact that it doesn't fall like you would traditionally expect it to. It falls the way that if science presented it to you and went, this is it falling from the sky, you'd look at it and go, yep, that's exactly what I would expect. Because it's got that streamlined saucer shape.
Right.
But it wobbling as it was falling from the sky was very, very realistic.
If you drop like a saucer on a table and you watch it spin over that wobble before it settles, it was almost like that.
But traveling vertically towards the ground at a great speed, like that. Yeah.
And then basically landing in the ground, making that big indentation, and then trying to watch something crawl out of it, I thought was very interesting. I really wish they had a close-up of what was trying to get out of there. But what I was thinking, watching that at the end and looking at that craft, I was thinking of what Dr. Stephen Greer says. Anything that is shaped that way is man-made. And that was sticking in my head. I'm looking at that thing going, not quite. It's something that went wrong.
Yep.
And so it was very interesting to look at.
And the fact that the military filmed it.
That too.
The fact that they filmed it falling from the sky and its crash, and they pretty much stayed on it with a decent lens. It had to be allegedly one of ours, because otherwise the odds of them being there at the right place at the right time was very small. But
it was very interesting to look at. It was an interesting little film there, so we'll put that up on the Facebook page, and you guys take a look at it and make a comment and let us know what you think about it. I found it fascinating to watch, so we'll get into that. Something else that I put up on the Facebook page that I was looking at, and it had to do with, I was scanning YouTube, and there was a really interesting video of a NASA scientist being interviewed. And
can we play it?
I have to see how long it is, quite frankly. I don't know. If we can't play it this week, we might be able to...
I'll have a look while you chat. Hang on a second. What was it called?
I have to remember the name of it now because I'm not looking at it right now. What I did was I took a photograph from it and said, okay, this is interesting. I'll give you a brief synopsis of it. Well, not necessarily brief, but it's a synopsis in general. The NASA scientist was talking about extraterrestrial objects, UFOs. He brought in the Anunnaki and all of the ancient so-called civilizations. And as he was being interviewed by this woman, he stated that they actually had a picture of one of the humanoid entities that was seen in these ships. And the woman said, can you describe him? He said, somewhere between maybe 7.5 to 9 feet tall. So about 3 meters tall, let's call it. And he said, and he's looking at her and you can see he hesitates, and he said, and a black skin.
I heard something about that this week too. Yes.
And she goes, brown skin? He goes, no. Black skin. And so I'm thinking, Sudanese black, boot black, dark.
Or my favorite color.
Which is?
Vantablack.
Now that's a new, what is that one?
Vantablack. Vantablack is the blackest black you can go.
Cool.
Light, most colors, light bounces off.
Yep.
Vantablack absorbs.
It absorbs light. Oh man, that would be wild. Anyway, so he said that was the whole color, and this led to a discussion, and they were saying that these were the people who were the ancestor of the so-called, the Alpha Draconi, the Draconians, and all of these civilizations. They were the ones who actually were the let us make man in our image Bible reference is the connotation. And the person who was putting together this video on YouTube was talking about the fact that there's a heck of a lot more going on spiritually in the world than most people can make out, and most of the things are hiding in plain sight. And he said he saw a picture. And did you get to see the picture on the Facebook page?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'll show it to you in a second so you can go, ooh. And what he saw was, those pictures of the Magellan-like clouds?
Yes.
And the beautiful colors and the different... Well, it was one of these, and he found one, and he had referenced the Dogon tribe from Africa and Sirius B. And they were saying that the different races... Now, there is a book called the Jehovah Prophecy, which I have talked about before on the show. I will put down the cover of the book on the Facebook page as well, and people can look at it. But what the fellow talked about was the fact that ancient civilizations were fighting and having wars in space, galactic wars.
Oh, it's good to know it's not just us.
Yeah. And, other things were happening. Stars going supernova, blah, 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 blah. They are intergalactic travelers. Therefore, what they did was seeded themselves on other planets. Asians come from a specific race. Africans come from a specific race. Caucasians come from a specific race, and they all merged and came here. Therefore, they talk about Atlantis, they talk about Mu, they talk about the different areas in South Africa and the Dogon tribe from Africa. They talk about the fact that they all came from different areas of space and had to merge or all live here. And they formed alliances and fought against each other and all that kind of stuff, going back millions of years.
Beyond 3 D.
Hubble is out in space, and it does one of its Magellanic cloudy kind of photography things, and they photograph it in all the different filters.
I know where this is going because you sent me the picture of that the other day.
Did I send it to you the other day?
Yes, you did.
What did I send you the other day?
A picture of the entire galaxy with the face.
Yeah. So, and when you look at it, you're looking at 180,000 light years across for that cloud formation. And when you look down in the right-hand corner, you can see what looks like an African face.
I'm not looking up, but what you don't know, I actually used it for our banner tonight on our Facebook page. So you sent it to me the other day, and I looked at it and went, yeah, that's actually really, really cool.
And when you look at these things, and I was looking at it and seeing what other kinds of formations you could actually see. But what that reminded me of, I have to make a sci-fi reference. There, Babylon 5, there was a show, and one of the Psi Corps had gone a little too far with the experimentation with the brain. And what happened was his mind expanded so far that he could no longer, his body could no longer contain.
Yep.
And so he broke out of the body in a big flash of light, and all of a sudden you look out into space and there's this man looking almost like this photo, galactic. And that's basically what they're saying. That is our true state, and that's where we're going. So it's really fascinating.
Speaking of a body that cannot contain one's consciousness.
Yes.
Friday morning, I woke up with a complete thud. Yeah, pretty much like
Thud.
a complete
Yeah.
thud. I've never woken up like that before.
Right.
And while we're chatting, I'm just going to stand up. I'm going to take my top off.
Yep.
I'm going to show you what I woke up with.
Okay. This will be interesting. Wow. Interesting.
What is it? You tell. What can you see?
Scratches.
Yeah, but is that purple mark there?
Yeah, the purple mark, and there are a few others. It looks as if you had gone through, a scraping treatment, the spoon treatments that they do in Chinese medicine or something like that.
I have no idea.
Different,
I have no idea what that is.
but it looks like that is really odd, because if you go to bed and don't have something like that on you and wake up all of a sudden and it's like that, interesting.
I went to bed with nothing, and I woke up 5 hours later, looking like someone had whipped me with a bamboo cane.
Yeah, it does look like that in a sense as
Yeah.
well. And the fact, when you look at the angle they're on and everything along those lines, we'll have to take a picture of your back so you can look at it. And that way you can see the angle everything is on. It's on an angle going, let's see, if you were looking at a person's back, those marks are going at an angle of about 345 degrees and let's call it 15 to 20 degrees, being that your spinal column would be looking, let's say, north-south.
It's a decent
Yeah.
bruise.
On both sides, though.
Yeah, but I don't understand how that could happen, Matt.
Okay.
What's your opinion on that?
Okay, here's the first thing that comes to mind when you talked about that. Here it is. I can remember one time my sister, God rest her, when she was probably about 14, 15 years old, maybe 13, 14, doesn't matter. She woke up in the morning with a fright like that. But then she described a story that happened to her. Now, in this story, she was actually being chased by an entity.
Okay.
And she described it as an old hag, Hillary Clinton. So this hag was chasing her all over the house and everything like that. So naturally, you're a kid, something's chasing you in the house, where do you go? You run into your parents' room and you yell out, "Ma! They're going to get me." Naturally, when she runs into the room to get her mother, she pulls the cover back and it's the hag.
Oh, so she was still dreaming at this point in time.
But what happened was, then she woke up and was telling me all about this, and she looked on her back and it was totally scratched.
Wow.
So she woke up. Now she couldn't do it to herself the way it was done, unless you could be a really good contortionist maybe, but something similar. So an entity could have done it. It could have been the way you were astral traveling, consciousness leaves, and you're trying to fit your consciousness back into your body, and you do it in such a way where you can actually do damage.
Okay.
A lot of things like that can happen. It would be very interesting, and so what I would say, up to you.
No, I'm interested.
What I would say, up to you, I would take your phone out in the mirror, get a picture of it. If you want to put your back on Facebook, we can do that. Or, I got a better idea. Don't put it on Facebook. But what we can do, and we can then make a report about it, we're having a meeting in November.
Okay. You and I?
No, the gang.
Okay.
There's a group of meditators that are getting together.
Okay.
You take that picture, you tell the story, and we can let a few people that are transmediums actually give you the energetic imprint of what happened.
I've had a interesting last 12 months, haven't I? Certain things just won't leave me alone.
No, they don't. But what it really comes down to is your spiritual involvement, and basically what you're doing is you're getting rapid, accelerated evolving going on.
Okay.
So a lot of things are going to just hit you. And it's basically saving you lifetimes. So the guys understand when you do a lot of meditating, a lot of contemplating, a lot of the different spiritual exercises, your spiritual evolution will start to accelerate. And you will learn lessons quickly. Some of them will not be very nice, but understand that by learning that lesson now, you are saving yourself lifetimes. And that's what it really comes down to. The other thing you can do to save yourself lifetimes is when people around you have experiences and they share it, listen to it, take it in, show the empathy or the compassion that is necessary, because, and you should really thank them, because by them going through that experience, it is saving you from having to come back and do that in a lifetime so you can experience it yourself.
I literally felt like I'd fallen a long way.
Yeah.
But when the thud happened, that's what woke me up.
Yeah.
That thud.
Yeah. When I was a kid, and this used to happen all the time to me, I used to, what do they call it? Sleep paralysis?
Yes.
And that used to happen to me, and when I was in that, I would be in a state, and you can tell it was a different state, and I could see shadows, and I can see figures, and there was all kinds of things moving in that, and you couldn't, and so I had to try to force myself out of it. One of the ways when I was dreaming and something was, negative or chasing me, the way I would always escape, I'd run to the top of a building, and I could just go whoosh, jump off, and as soon as I'm looking at the ground coming up, as soon as I'm about to hit the ground, it would pop me out, and I'd wake up.
I used to be able to lucid dream when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And lost the ability to do it as an adult.
But what happens with that, and here's a little tidbit, everybody talks about a term called Saturn return.
Okay.
And Saturn return usually happens when you're somewhere between the ages of 27 and 30. And you come full circle. Your body is adjusting, your spirit is adjusting in the body. What most people don't understand is this. Saturn return actually happens a heck of a lot sooner. If you look at Saturn going through the horoscopes and things like that, and this is how it correlates. Your first Saturn return happens when you're age 7. And when you're age 7, what happens is the etheric body turns on, the battery, and you're recognizing that. And just think about how a 7-year-old, all of a sudden very energetic, running around asking questions, the battery is on. You put fresh batteries in, boom, they're running like crazy. Age 14, the emotional body turns on. That's another Saturn return. What happens then?
I have 3 daughters all this age, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Puberty.
Yep.
All that kind of stuff. All the emotions. Click. That system turns on. So now you have your battery on and you have the emotional body on. Age 21, so-called adulthood, the mental body turns on. You add that into the mix. So now all of a sudden you have emotions, you have the mental body is turning on, so the thinking starts to go on. Then age 28, which is the normal Saturn return everybody talks about, the causal body or soul force kicks in. And so, those are the 4 Saturn returns you have, and it turns on those different bodies. So it turns on the etheric, it turns on the astral emotional, it turns on the mental, it turns on the causal.
Anything happen when you hit 35?
35, all of a sudden, as you're meditating and as you're doing more work, the next step up, soul force, the monad, the divine spark, and from there it can go on. Now, what can happen is at any time, depending on a person's development when they come into this body, you can hit age 14 and you could also activate not just the astral emotional body but the mental body at the same time.
And I guess the same works in reverse, because I know a couple of 42-year-olds that are going on 7.
That's a possibility as well. But under normal circumstances for a person, that is usually what happens. What you need to do at all of those steps is you need to be doing some kind of a meditation regimen that can help this along. And so and then what you have to do is learn how to control all of those bodies. Then you have to learn how to integrate all of them together, including the energy centers in the body. And that's how you build the complete human, so to speak.
Yeah, so you started talking about that because I mentioned the fact that I used to have a lot of lucid dreams, but I don't anymore.
Mm-hmm. Lucid dreaming usually shuts off when the astral emotional body kicks in.
Right.
It can shut off when you're young, and a lot of people will tell you they have this kind of an experience, and I've had it. You're in your bedroom, you're about 6 or 7 years old, you turn over in the middle of the night and there's an entity standing in the room.
Yeah,
some people call it the shadow man and all that kind of stuff.
You've spoken about that many times.
That shuts down.
Okay.
That shuts down the vision. That shuts down the pineal gland, and that shuts down the ajna chakra and between the eyebrows. And what happens is it basically blurs the lens. It blurs that camera.
Is that because of a fight or flight response in yourself?
Yeah, you can't quite handle it. And so the body shuts down.
Okay, so that's the flight. Fight or flight.
Yeah, get out of there. And so what happens is, what you then have to do is you have to reactivate that ability. And it's one of the cities, as they call it, in different meditation techniques. And you learn to reactivate it. But the thing is, you cannot get hung up on it. It's a ceremony in a sense. So if it shuts down, this is why a lot of times if your kids have really good experiences and they have imaginary friends and things like that, they see things, try to cultivate it. Don't let it die on the vine, because they'll have to spend a lot of time as an adult trying to meditate to get that faculty to open again. So yeah, a lot of times you lucid dream, you see things, and that something traumatic can happen and it shuts off.
ZMA is a tablet it's a supplement that you can buy from any health food store. Contains zinc, magnesium aspartate, and also vitamin B6. That cocktail from the health food store will actually turn on that part of your brain you're talking about, so that you can lucid dream. Take a couple of those, two before sleep.
It's worth it.
Yeah, well, lucid dreaming's amazing. If you can do it, it's amazing.
Yeah. But you can get beyond that as well, and you can't get hung up on it. And that's the key, to never get hung up on these things. Write everything down that happens. You have it. Beautiful. That's all you have to do. You have to be able to go beyond it.
Beyond 3 D.
Welcome back this week, everyone, to another episode of Beyond 3... Matthew.
D.
Thank you. Max Spiers. For those of you who don't know Max Spiers, he's dead now.
Oh my.
Yeah, he's dead now. Max Spiers was a conspiracy theorist who allegedly investigated a circle of black magicians before he was mysteriously departed from this world.
Was that the one he just in Poland? Yeah.
Now, once or twice we've spoken about Miles Johnson from Bases at the Barge and Kerry Cassidy. Both those two people many times in the past have interviewed Max Spiers. And now Max used to claim, I don't know if he did up until recently, that he was a victim of MK Ultra.
Yep.
So we're talking about subliminal mind control. He did a lot of investigating in abductions and UAPs and UFOs, and he was touring the circuit to start talking about a lot of the conspiracies that were happening in the UK at the time. And he was, like you said, he was on his way over to Poland, and he was in Poland, and he passed away mysteriously, Matt. No autopsy.
Well, according to this, it's basically, it said, how old? 30s? In his 30s.
He's in his 30s. He had two children.
Healthy.
Two children. And he texted his mother the day or so before and said to her, he texted his mother and he said, "Your boy's in trouble. If anything happens to me, investigate."
And what I'm seeing here is it's saying he was about to expose a global black magic ring featuring politicians and celebrities.
Now, there was also a statement from his friends and the newspaper that he vomited up a black liquid. So the only other time I've heard talk about this black liquid or the black goo was from Harald Kautz. He did a talk at Bases a couple of years ago on this black goo, and he said that they found it in rock that was thousands and thousands of years old. And allegedly the Nazis used to get hold of this rock, extract this black goo, and use it for satanic rituals.
Oh joy.
And this particular black goo is allegedly meant to be sentient and very, very negative. So, and what the best way I could probably draw some kind of comparison to it, you know, in Ghostbusters where they have that slime and they put the slime on everything, and then they play what's that song?
I'm not sure.
Where they make the Statue of Liberty get up and walk.
Oh yeah, I just don't remember the song.
Yeah, well, it's that kind of concept, but
Okay.
not a positive vibe comes off it. It's a negative vibe. So allegedly, Max vomited up all this black goo just before he passed away.
Interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys are starting to drop. Quite a few of them, actually. So, once again, you have to be very careful what you investigate, because it could lead to your demise if you're not careful, or if you're trying to, or if you're going to expose people that might be doing something nefarious. Shall we say? Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Oh boy, what do you do with that?
I've got a little bit of the. I've just found it on YouTube.
Black liquid. Yeah.
I've got a little bit of the clip here if you want me to play some of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Well, here's Harald Kautz Vella on the black goo.
As you heard, I'm coming from Germany, and I did science half of my life, and I worked as a journalist the other half of my life, writing articles, books, so I'm a little bit trained in interconnecting and understanding more complicated fields of research. This is maybe my core quality. And I started to deal with environmental monitoring when I was in Norway, and this is if we have somebody who is doing things in secret. It's not published in the newspapers, he will not talk about it in public. Then you have the other side of the game, that somebody is trying to figure out what is happening. And then there comes this ugly word, conspiracy theory, and one feels isolated. If you're confronted with this thing that you might be a conspiracy theorist, then this is something emotional. Nobody wants to stand outside society. Nobody wants to be the weird guy. So this is basically an ugly argument that is used to make people shut up. So this can be fought with a few very, very not rational, just clever moves. We can see this is a military technology. We don't know if it is applied or not, but we can study the technology because it's taught at the university. And this manuscript is a little bit hard to read. It's like 260 pages. So I started to get interested in internal papers of certain agencies. And there was one stupid mistake done by some network specialists in NASA. They published an internal paper, I think it's like 12, 15 years ago, that was classified, and it appeared for 2 days in the public domain of the main NASA website. And some people just by incident found it and copied the paper, and since then actually this is public domain. It's brought out every now and then, it's discussed by people every now and then. So the war happening on this planet is between the government and the normal people. And this completely different type of war will need completely different weapons, and then they list all those weapons. So this is basically this NASA document that is giving kind of abstract picture, and this is the message that is now going to the intelligence community, because you should know what is wrong about this project. And the thing now I want to mention, this is the address to the intelligence community. I'm a hardcore scientist, but I really appreciate the possibilities that lie in the spiritual world. And I had so many open questions to this whistleblower. And he immediately started to talk, and he said, hey, this is alien technology. It is not human technology, and we have been fooled. You start realizing that there's a plan behind it. And if you look at the political entities who might be responsible, and they're all members of Skull and Bones, sounds pretty black magic. If you look how these people are interconnected, black goo, And there's one big black goo deposit in Paraguay. Yeah. And this black goo has to do something with the communication with demons. This is in the black magic tradition. These black goo schists were used to communicate with demons. So this all interconnects on political, scientific, and the level of mythology. We can access black goo also from the little pictures from the microscope. This is German rain. And if you want to know what this liquid does, you can have a look at it in the lab. When you have bigger amounts of it, it looks like this. It's a liquid crystal. This liquid is self-organizing physically. And this, at the moment, is sleeping. It's not aware of being observed, it's quiet. Sometimes when it doesn't like to be observed, it might jump out of the pot straight into your face. If you have two of those in one room, get them 5 meters close to each other, they stare at each other, then they decide that they want to be united, and then they start to pull. It's like magnetism, but it's intelligent. And when they realize that you hold them within the vessel and they cannot escape, they get angry and start to shake the vessel and try to break through the wall, because they know once they are through, they can flow over the ground and unite to a bigger unit. This is something you can just observe in the lab, and especially this liquid was extracted from those black stones. This is World War II leftovers. We found them in an underground facility in Bavaria, 1/2 ton of it. So we can imagine that the SS processed quite a bit of this. And I guess that the guys found also the technology to extract the oil from it. Must have been there in written form, because they did it in the lab successfully. If you look at those stones, you have a brief history of things reported out of former times. You have, if you look at H.P. Lovecraft, the descriptions of the black magic communities in Eastern Europe. They had kind of sculptures out of this black oil schist, and once a year they went there slaughtering little babies to get the demons out of the stone, sacrificing little children to communicate and get the service from the demons. This is one thing mentioned. If you go back in history, you find them in the Kaaba in Mecca, the same form of phallus-shaped structure that is described in Vedic script as Shiva's lingam, that is described in this Lovecraft script. A fragment of it is part of a central part of the Kaaba in Mecca, and every Muslim in the world is asked to go there once in his life and to kiss this stone. If you go back, you find them on Turkish and Roman, Greek and Turkish coins. You see them left and right of the tree of life in the paradise garden. So getting in contact with this black goo is what caused the deterioration of paradise. And it is not easy to understand the overall concept, because when you start to deal with black goo, the first thing you need to discover before anything makes sense is that there are two different qualities. We have liquid black goo. It is basically, it has been found on a southern Falkland island, Tula Island, and this is what the war with Argentina was about, accessing this black goo. We have this type of earth black goo in the Gulf of Mexico. This was what the Deepwater Horizon catastrophe was all about. Somebody was shooting a torpedo at the facility, destroying the attempt to get the black goo out of Mother Earth. And we had, I think, eight military submarines getting close to World War III, trying to capture some of that oil after Deepwater Horizon was destroyed. And no single civilian was allowed to go to the beaches to remove the oil. Yeah, it was just military personnel with special equipment and fully shielded against the influence of this substance. So this is one quality that comes from Mother Earth. And then you have a second quality that is found in connection with meteorite sites. If you look at the thing in Paraguay, you can exactly see by the form the stones are broken in the environment. That was an impact of a meteorite. If you look into the Arabic mythology, they say the thing in the Kaaba in Mecca is a fragment of a meteorite. And this is now not against Muslims. If you look into the Peter's Dome in Rome, you have a big piece of this stone under the Peter's Dome. And if you analyze all the churches built in Middle Ages in Europe, every altar has a black altar stone. And what you feel when you enter a church is not the love of God. It is more like a cold fear. Yeah? This is the resonance transmitted by the structure of the church, fed by this black stone in a central point. Now, what we need to realize is that there are two qualities. One quality is coming from inner Earth, and one quality is coming from outer space. And they feel completely different. The Falkland black goo is called Saturn and oil because it has full empathy. If you're getting close to this oil, you're coming in a state of mind that is full of love and empathy. If you come into the vicinity of the meteorite black goo, your heart chakra dwindles to nothing and you become an empathy-free asshole. After my first contact with the stones, I was this close from killing the hotel director because she complained that I took a shower, although I had to sleep outside. They didn't have any rooms left, so I slept in the car. I was dead frozen in the morning and took a shower in a room of a friend who had the last room that was available. And she just complained that I took a shower without asking for permission. I was really close to killing her. This is what these stones do with people as long as they're unconscious. Now we need to understand, the second thing we need to understand is what is the function of the black goo. And to understand the function, you look at the chemistry. It is a mineral oil dotted with high amounts of alchemistic gold and iridium, which is precious metals in the M state, which is, it's not really explored. Some people say it's a type of antimatter that is far enough out of our reality to avoid a collision between matter and antimatter. Some people connect it with superconductive qualities. What we know is that gold and iridium in this state of matter is a very important component of biology. If you look at in DNA, you're kind of forming hollow spaces in the spiral, and you can fit these monoatomic precious metals exactly into the open space, and they kind of act as a biophoton attractor. The DNA itself is capturing the field energy, storing it and resending it out, but the gold and the iridium are attracting the photon onto the spot. So this is basically why we get old. The body is capable of producing M-state matter until we are 18 years old, and then we are losing it. And when the matter is gone, the M-state matter is gone out of our system, we disconnect from the morphic field, and we lose our shape and get old. This is why the Egyptian priests fed themselves with these M-state matter, and it's reported that they managed to get 800 years old, because this function was out of work. So basically there is a kind of fractal similarity between the function on light level of a human being and the function of the black goo within the Earth or wherever it is. So this is a full story reported. Take it as whatever it is.
Beyond 3.
Welcome back this week, everyone, to another episode of Beyond 3D. Some weeks we say episode, some weeks we say edition.
We do.
We do. Some weeks you say potato, some weeks I say potato.
Mm-hmm.
Can't and can't.
Yes, Mars.
Mars.
Say Mars, yeah. What is the name of this thing? The
Mars.
European Space Agency, I would guess. So the Schiaparelli Mars probe has been, shall we say...
Missing.
Yeah, it's missing. It's missing. According to this, the parachute on it opened a little bit too early, so they now have to try to find where the thing went.
Yeah, good luck. Hang on a second. Can we just put this into perspective?
Yeah, go ahead.
MH370 crashes and disappears on our planet.
Mm-hmm.
A probe disappears in the cosmos and NASA's looking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 will get you 10. They find it before they find MH370.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes. Ooh, what was that probe that they found? It had landed on the asteroid. It landed on this satellite, comet or something like that. It bounced into a rock. They got telemetry from it for about a minute, and then it died.
Okay.
And then they sent another probe up after that, and they actually were able to take a photograph of the first probe on that asteroid, comet, whatever it was, going through the solar system. It was really, really interesting.
What's the name of this Mars probe again?
Oh, gosh. You always do that to me.
Schiaparelli?
No, not quite. Schiaparelli.
Schiaparelli.
Yeah.
It's only 8 foot wide.
Right.
It's not very big.
No, they're not going to find that.
No, they're not going to find that at all.
Could it have been shot down by something already there?
It could have been...
the EMP, electromagnetic pulse, make it go...
It could have been... It could have been commandeered.
Yeah, it could be. There are other things up there that might say, ooh, that looks interesting. Let's see what they have. Let's see how much their technology has advanced over the last decade.
Then again, with everybody looking and watching to see what it does discover, who's to say NASA has full contact with it, and they're just telling us they don't, because they don't want to have to say what they've found.
Good point. Good point.
If they can turn around and say, no, we can't... That's like when someone says to you, what happened here? And you know exactly what happened, and you just go, I don't know, I forgot.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with the moon. NASA wouldn't go back to the moon after the Apollo missions, and they won't admit the fact that they were basically warded off by other ships that were up there, just saying, don't come back here. Then you get the Chinese send up their probe to the moon, and they have more than likely found some very interesting things, but they're not talking about it. So in my opinion, what that means is, don't even look at the governments. Look at private industry. Look at the so-called... Oh, what did they call it just recently in WikiLeaks? Level 7.
So there's a new term now, is there?
Level 7. Everything that is going on nefariously throughout the world is a Level 7 event as far as WikiLeaks is concerned when dealing with the State Department of the United States.
What constitutes 1 to 6?
I have no clue.
Okay.
But when something was going on, they say, well, you have to run it through level 7. And if level 7 approves, all of a sudden, all of the so-called goodies can start happening. And it has nothing to do with the so-called Congress, or it has nothing to do with a parliament here. So there are agencies that have a lot of power that we don't know about. So maybe what's going on with Schiaparelli and Mars, maybe what's going on with the different probes that go to the moon.
Hang on a second, I just thought of something.
Yeah.
The movie Transformers.
Right, which I've never seen.
You don't see... There's so many films that are based on little tidbits of reality. So many science fiction films that I ask you, have you seen this? And you go, no.
Well, I promise you I will see Doctor Strange when it comes out in October.
Anyway, we're back to Transformers.
Yes, Transformers.
In that film, there's in inverted comments, an agent who works for the government. And the agency he works for is called Sector 7.
Interesting.
So art imitating life, imitating art, imitating life.
In the WikiLeaks documents from Mr. Podesta, who is a big UFO fan, this exists. What can you do? You just have to go, oh well, that's the way it is.
Agent Simmons, that was his name.
Okay.
And I don't like that actor.
No?
That's why I remembered his character's name.
No idea, not a clue.
Him and James Spader, I can't stand either.
Another one I haven't seen. I never saw the second Independence Day.
I'll give it to you.
Well, thank you.
After tonight.
I'll tell you what.
I've got it here.
I'll tell you, it went into the movies and out of the movies quite quickly, so it obviously wasn't that good. But no, Doctor Strange I'll see. I will see the new Harry Potter film that's coming out. Well, sort of. The Beast film.
I am going to give you some homework this week.
Okay, I'll take it.
And we're running out of time tonight, so I'm going to give you some homework.
Yes.
After the show, in the next 5 minutes.
Yep.
I'm going to give you a copy of...
Legitimate legal copies.
Of course. I'm going to give you my legitimate legal copy of Interstellar.
I'll watch that.
And I want you to watch it.
Okay.
And then next week, next Saturday night,
right,
I would like you to tell me your thoughts on it.
Fair enough.
Because I think the ending of it will be right up your alley.
Okay, cool. I'll do it.
And we're talking fourth dimension, fifth dimensional realms.
Love it.
Okay?
I'll do it.
Cool.
I will do it.
Well, that's all we've got time for, I think. Unless you got something else you want to drop.
You just mentioned fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional realms, and I just watched this TV show on Netflix.
Yeah. Oh, Stranger Things.
Yes.
What? You got time to watch that, but you haven't got time for other things.
My daughter made me watch it.
Okay. You're off the hook.
All of a sudden, I watched the first episode. I went, how many more?
Yeah.
Another 7.
Yeah.
So we watched all of them over a couple.
And?
It was very interesting.
Yes.
I want to see what happens. I won't tell everybody how it ended, but I was like, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And I was like,
well, there's a strange. They're doing a second sequel.
Yeah.
They're doing a second series to it.
So I got to see what happens in the second series. The first one was actually very interesting, I guess.
I only watched the first 2 episodes.
Well, it was interesting. Very interesting.
And then I jumped on the net and found out what it was about. And I just went, well, I've just saved myself watching 5 other episodes, didn't I?
Oh, they went quick. Don't worry, it wasn't that bad. Anyway, guys, thanks again for listening this week. A lot of good interviews coming up. We'll wait for election season to end. And once that happens, we can get everything going for you because people will be concentrating more on the things that actually matter.
You did say you wanted pepperoni.
Yeah, I did.
Thank you.
And that way, we'll get it going for you. But thanks for listening this evening. Check out that Facebook page. Put ideas up. If you want any specific guests to come on the show, give us some ideas and we can try to get in contact with them as well.
And good evening to Michelle Abrams up in Queensland.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Michelle, for all your contributions on our Facebook page.
Indeed. Guys, take care. We will catch you next week for another edition of Beyond 3D.
Good night, everybody.
Just because you haven't experienced it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.